Good morning, everyone. My name is Miranda Rosen. I am the MLA for beautiful Banff Kananaskis, where we are situated today, as well as Alberta's Parliamentary Secretary for Tourism. I am pleased to welcome with us today Minister Todd Loewen, our Minister of Forestry, Parks and Tourism, as well as Minister Nate Horner, our Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation. In addition, I would like to welcome John Mamela, the Chief Commercial Officer for Travel Alberta, and Shay Bird, Chief Executive Officer for Indigenous Tourism Alberta, for taking time this morning to participate in this event. An additional special thanks to Chris and Christine McKenna at Camel Raft Tours for hosting us today in this incredible facility. I appreciate everyone taking the time to be with us. Before we get this morning's program started, I would like to welcome Shay Bird here on behalf of Indigenous Tourism Alberta, simply to provide a land acknowledgement of where we are. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We're gathering today on Treaty 7 territory in Métis Region 3. These traditional territories are homeland to the Stoney Nakoda, including Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney, as well as the Blackfoot Nations, including Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina Nation. These lands are also traditional homelands of the Métis people, and many other nations that have traditionally moved through this land. We are grateful to be here, and we thank the members of these nations for their hospitality in sharing this space. I'd also like to acknowledge that as a treaty person myself, who lives in Treaty 6 territory in Métis Region 4, that all Albertans are treaty land people, and we're all treaty people with obligations and responsibilities to live up to in the true spirit of treaty and truth and reconciliation. Thanks.
Thank you, Shay. Well, as the MLA for beautiful Banff Kananaskis, I certainly recognize the integral role that tourism plays in the lives and the communities of this region. A strong visitor economy that supports jobs and growths and gives Albertans the opportunity to showcase this incredible province to the world is key for the development and the success of exciting future tourism opportunities. This is not only true for the Rockies, where we are today. The same goes for all across our province. In every corner of Alberta, there are exciting things to do and see. In fact, Indigenous and agricultural tourism are rapidly increasing in demand as visitors and Albertans alike seek cultural experiences that reflect the people and the history of our region. As our government endeavors to double visitor spending in Alberta, we recognize that we must seek growth in developing rural, remote, and gateway communities all across the province to diversify our product and experience offerings. As a government, it is our responsibility to create a business environment that encourages local entrepreneurs and operators to develop and enhance destinations in their region. On a broad scale, we've done that as a government through lowered business taxes and deregulation, but today we are here specifically to speak to rural and Indigenous tourism. As Alberta's economy continues to grow and diversify, we remain committed as a government to ensuring that tourism plays a leading role in Alberta's economic future in every corner of the province. And by working with partners like Travel Alberta, Indigenous Tourism Alberta, and our local entrepreneurs, we can work with these communities to unlock the true potential of tourism in our province. So with that, I would love to welcome our Minister Todd Loewen, the Minister of Forestry, Parks and Tourism, to the podium.
Thank you very much, Miranda, for that introduction. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning, and I think it's great that we have such a great backdrop with the draft right behind us, showing what kind of tourism that we have right in our areas here. So I want to thank Minister Horner and John Mamela from Travel Alberta and Shay Bird from Indigenous Tourism for joining me here today. I would also like to thank Canmore Raft Tours for hosting us in their shop here today too. Surrounded by all this outdoor gear, who isn't getting excited to spend time in the fresh air this summer? Alberta's recreational and cultural opportunities are a major driver of rural tourism. And viable, vibrant rural tourism means regional economic growth and prosperity that benefits people and communities across the province. As we forge ahead with this vision, it is also critical that we pursue development sustainably. The robust legislation protecting our parks remains unchanged, as does dedication and commitment of the people maintaining them day to day. We are proud of our parks, and while we want more people to visit and enjoy them, our government is steadfast in our commitment to increasing their visitor capacity in environmentally responsible ways. An important part of this requires that we work to develop opportunities throughout the province, and not just in the mountains and in our major urban centres either. We must expand Alberta's visitor economy by providing enjoyable, enriching tourism experiences in rural Alberta beyond our big cities and the eastern slopes. By spreading out demand, we spread economic and social benefits to all regions of the province. This morning, I would like to speak about our government's support for the development of sustainable rural tourism in Alberta and the meaningful action we are taking to deliver it. Alberta's government is committed to growing regional tourism throughout the province. The development of enticing, environmentally sustainable, year-round opportunities for tourism outside of our world-famous legacy destinations is key to ensuring that rural tourism flourishes in all corners of our province. This is an ambitious goal. It demands a comprehensive approach requiring cooperative funding directly invested in communities, businesses, and associations, primarily in rural areas. The environmentally responsible development of new and unique tourism products, tourism infrastructure initiatives, and visitor programming, and community investment that empowers destination management organizations leading strategic initiatives within our local and rural areas today. Through these efforts, we're enabling Alberta operators to increase the breadth and appeal of our province's rural tourism offerings and cast a wider net to attract visitors. Realizing the growth potential of our lesser-known tourism destinations will unlock long-term economic opportunities that benefit rural Albertans and Indigenous people and communities throughout the province. Travel Alberta is essential when it comes to delivering these outcomes. The agency's tourism investment program provides $15 million in annual funding to support tourism operators. In 22-23, Travel Alberta funded 166 projects across 73 communities. About 75% of the projects and 70% of the funding were in smaller urban and rural areas of the province. These efforts are instrumental in growing Alberta's visitor economy, creating and promoting must-visit destinations throughout the province, focusing on marketing our province's sites and attractions to high-value travelers, increasing air access to welcome more international visitors, and supporting new and enhanced visitor experiences and accommodations across Alberta. Those are all critical drivers of Travel Alberta's current and future successes in fulfilling its expanded mandate to grow our visitor economy. Budget 2023 ensures that Travel Alberta has the tools it needs to succeed. Being an effective champion of Alberta's tourism industry means that the resources we commit have to reflect the scope of this sector's ambition and future vision. To this end, Budget 23 increases the agency's funding by 14%. Through that increase, I'm excited to announce an additional $10 million in provincial investment in support of rural tourism in Alberta. Over the next 2 years, this funding will support the development of year-round tourism experiences in all corners of our province. It will help local tourism operators build and expand accommodations, help events and festivals that will draw visitors to their area, buy specialized recreational equipment to enhance their outdoor offerings, and market their exceptional destinations and attractions to the world. It will provide support for projects to expand and enhance unique made-in-Alberta experiences like regional agritourism, interpretive and educational programming, and local adventure and outdoor touring opportunities. I'm also very proud to say that our investment supports the largest ever provincial contribution towards the development and marketing of authentic, Indigenous-owned and operated visitor experiences as well. Last month, Travel Alberta announced a $6 million contribution to enable more Indigenous tourism operators to develop new products, expand their offerings, and market more effectively. Our government recognizes the significant economic potential for immersive Indigenous tourism experiences. By providing additional funding to support Travel Alberta's efforts to develop these opportunities collaboratively, Indigenous operators and entrepreneurs are empowered to be able to offer enriching tourism experiences that help increase and maintain long-term prosperity in their communities. Development of rural tourism is a key contributor to achieving our goal of growing the tourism industry to a $20 billion opportunity over the next 10 years. With about 30% of tourism spending already occurring outside of the Canadian Rockies and in Edmonton and Calgary regions, the potential economic diversification and development opportunities that regional tourism offers stand to benefit rural Albertans and Indigenous peoples for the short and long terms. Today's announcement not only highlights our government's mission to grow our visitor economy, it also reflects our support for the sustainable growth and diversification of Alberta's rural economy, as guided by the Economic Development in Rural Alberta Plan. Now, Minister Horner will speak about this more shortly. So, in conclusion, there are exciting things to do and see in every corner of our province. People don't need to look very hard or travel very far to experience something worthwhile in Alberta. And it's our job to showcase these treasures to Albertans, other Canadians, and the rest of the world. I'll now turn things over to Minister Horner to share some further remarks. Thank you very much.
Well, good morning, and thank you to Minister Loewen for the introduction, and thank you to our gracious hosts for helping us make this excellent announcement today. I'm pleased to be with you today and with our colleagues from Travel Alberta and Indigenous Tourism Alberta to discuss how Budget 2023 will create new opportunities for tourism. A few months ago, we rolled out the Economic Development in Rural Alberta Plan to support and guide sustainable growth and diversification in rural communities. We developed the plan by listening to rural Albertans and Indigenous communities to better understand the issues they face at the ground level. During the engagement sessions, we heard clearly that many of the economic barriers and challenges in rural Alberta are unique, and that addressing these challenges requires different approaches than may work in the cities. With these insights in mind, the plan spans 5 years. It charts a path forward to address rural economic challenges by improving infrastructure like telecommunications and irrigation networks, supporting rural businesses and entrepreneurship, enabling labor force and skills development, building regional and targeted capacity, and enhancing marketing and tourism in rural Alberta, which brings us here today. We're proud that our province is renowned for its natural wonders, legacy destinations, and events that attract international visitors. Alberta has so much more to offer. When we engaged with rural and Indigenous communities on the 5-year plan, they told us they were ready to expand their tourism opportunities. Our government agrees it's time to maximize the untapped potential in rural and Indigenous tourism. Our Budget 2023 investment in Travel Alberta supports the 5-year plan through new experiences and initiatives that will enhance rural Alberta's reputation and capacity as a tourism destination. We know collaboration will be critical to making big impact in the tourism industry, and collaboration is a guiding principle in our plan for economic development in rural Alberta. We appreciate the support Travel Alberta and Indigenous Tourism Alberta have provided. They're key partners in helping Indigenous and rural communities access their untapped tourism potential. By working in partnership, Travel Alberta and Indigenous Tourism Alberta have developed authentic new experiences and cultural offerings that are drawing visitors from across the globe. Travel Alberta has also been cooperating with rural communities and empowering them to grow and diversify their tourism sectors. Like our government, Travel Alberta understands when the tourism industry thrives, it attracts and retains talent that supports other industries. Today's investment will help build capacity to drive innovation and create jobs in the sector while establishing vibrant, inclusive experiences and places to visit. Together, we will achieve that vision and make Alberta a top destination for travelers around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ministers. I would now welcome John Mamela, our Chief Commercial Officer at Travel Alberta.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Minister Loewen, Minister Horner, for your great work and much appreciation. I know new funding is always a challenge in all instances with current times, but we really do appreciate and we'll put that investment to great work, as you alluded to, in the work we've done previously. It's an immense pleasure being here with you both, and thank you, Miranda, as well, Parliamentary Secretary to Tourism, for welcoming us here to your riding, the Banff-Kananaskis area, one of our Alberta's key tourism anchors, and grateful for your continued support. I also want to take the opportunity to thank someone who's not here, but who's been a long-term champion for the sector, Martin Long, Parliamentary Secretary to Tourism for Small Business and previously for tourism. He's demonstrated an immense passion for our sector over the years, so thank you for his continuing to support tourism development as the MLA in West Yellowhead region. But again, Minister Loewen, Mr. Horner, thank you again for your time this morning and for today's announcement. Rural community and operators are key to our success, as alluded by ministers, in terms of doubling the sector of our visitor economy by 2035. This investment made by the government through Travel Alberta is going to allow us and propel us towards achieving that objective. Last year, over the last few years, we've invested, as Minister Loewen mentioned, well over $10 million into rural Alberta, resulting in 119 investments made across the province in all corners. And we anticipate, again, with this additional $10 million over the next 2 years to achieve those similar-like investments strategically placed in rural destinations, creating more opportunities for both international travelers and Albertans to come and enjoy the province and all that we have to offer. Our diversity of our rural destinations and our distinct competitive advantage is one that we really need to continue to play upon, and one that travelers are keen to experience. It allows them to get off the beaten path, experience a place they may not have Instagrammed before, brag about, and get out there and really enjoy what we have to offer for our diverse cultures, our Indigenous peoples and our history and our story, and our unique small town spirit. And most importantly, tourism is not only for those who come to see and enjoy this province, but it also has the power to create four-season revenue opportunities for businesses, offer responsible travel that preserves the unique history, culture, and community charm. It builds amenity and infrastructure that benefits residents and grows quality of life in and across the province. And importantly, it supports Indigenous tourism development with our investment and further reconciliation to that end, to empowering Indigenous entrepreneurs and communities alike across the province. Fundamentally, tourism has this power to communicate to communities to be vibrant year-round employment opportunities also that attract young people. In speaking with Chris here in terms of the success they've had with their business and the opportunity which getting youth into the sector itself and grow a career is one that many of us have been a part of, and one that invites everyone of all kinds to really enjoy and share and host individuals into this destination. It's absolutely incredible. And these long-term development plans that we're undertaking, that was alluded to as well, and across the province, we've undertaken an opportunity to take a look at where we can see upside visitor potential and growth, and through the opportunity to that end, it really does present itself in rural parts of the province, and we've undertaken through this analysis the opportunity to engage locals, residents, and community stakeholders, again with that aim to grow the size of Alberta's visitor economy by 2035. So together in partnership with the Government of Alberta, we at Travel Alberta are collectively building a robust visitor economy in concert and in partnership with Indigenous Tourism Alberta, again to grow the visitor economy in all corners of the province. It's something again that we're truly proud of, and again thankful to the government for their continued investment, trust in us in what we're doing, and also the opportunity to work with many operators, communities, and residents in all parts of the province. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. And I would like to call Shay Bird back, our CEO of Indigenous Tourism Alberta.
Hello. Indigenous tourism is a growing part of the tourism industry here in Alberta, and it's a key pillar of the industry's future growth. Indigenous tourism is built into the fabric of what we now call Alberta and supplies the demand for authentic Indigenous experiences seen both domestically and internationally. ITA represents hundreds of Indigenous-owned businesses and Indigenous entrepreneurs in the tourism industry who are located in every corner of the province and offer a wide variety of experiences and cultural opportunities. In fact, just under 60% of our membership is based in what we consider rural Alberta. Indigenous tourism is not only a chance for travelers to have a unique experience throughout Alberta, but also allows for opportunities for Indigenous communities and entrepreneurs to share their stories, history, and culture through their voice, leading to economic development, cultural preservation, language vitalization, and reconciliation. This money is really going to support Indigenous Tourism Alberta to continue the development efforts to support the industry overall across the province, whether it's from an entrepreneur just starting out to a more matured business or a community looking to really build at grassroots level that community tourism development strategy and product. The growth of this industry needs partners to reach the economic and social potential that comes with Indigenous tourism. And I think, it's safe to say here, we can see we have some very strong partners in the room that I'm incredibly grateful for. So on behalf of the board of directors, members, and staff, I'd like to thank the Government of Alberta and their leadership through their continued financial commitment to growing the Indigenous tourism sector throughout our province. with ITA and alongside our partners at Travel Alberta. We look forward to the work ahead, building Alberta as a premier Indigenous tourism destination globally. And ministers, thank you again. Secretary, I'd like to thank you as well for all the work you do to really champion this stuff, because it's important work, and we appreciate the partnership. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Shay. That concludes today's announcement. I will now welcome Minister Horner and Loewen to join me back at the podium, and we will open it up to questions.
So there's a mic just at the front of the room. I'd encourage everyone to use that so we can hear you. I'd limit you to one question, one follow-up. Please step up to the mic, state your name and which company you're from.
Paula Duhacek with CBC Calgary. I was wondering how far outside of these hotspots, Calgary, Edmonton, the Rockies, do operators have to be to qualify for this money?
Okay, so what we have, what Travel Alberta has designed in conjunction with the department is tourism zones across Alberta. And those tourism zones are focused so that we can make sure that we're spending and focusing tourism opportunities across the entire province. So there isn't a certain distance that's really considered, but we're making sure that with those zones that we focus that money and that energy into those zones all across the province.
And is it a pool for both Indigenous operators and operators in rural areas, or is there a certain amount for one and for the other? Yeah, the tourism, Indigenous tourism has a specific set amount of money that Travel Alberta has set aside for them. But when it comes to the rest of the pool, it doesn't matter what the tourism opportunity is. It's just focused on making sure that we have expanded tourism across the province to all the different zones, from the north, the south, east to the west. Thanks.
And we'll take a question on the phone. Operator, please put through the first caller.
Thank you. Catherine Grakowski, Alberta Today.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I think it was David had mentioned Instagram, and so I couldn't help but think, how big of a barrier is the lack of high-speed internet to rural tourism development?
Yes, it's definitely been a concern of this government, and has been a concern for quite some time. When we look at the connectivity in rural Alberta, we do have a minister that takes care of and is working towards developing a better connectivity in rural Alberta. That's something that's, again, it's been a concern. There's both federal money and provincial money that's been going into that. We do have a lot of work to go on that, but again, I think as we develop and as we go through this next year or so, I think we're going to see increased connectivity in rural Alberta. There's a lot of things, a lot of projects happening right now. I know even in my own community, there's projects happening. So it's good to see that that's happening, and I think it's something that we need to continue to work with. I know as I travel across Alberta to the further reaches, it's always interesting that sometimes we don't even have cell service in some parts of Alberta. So when we talk about connectivity, I think it's important that we look at not only the internet, but actually cell phone coverage and things like that too. So again, it is an issue, and I appreciate the question on that, because it is a good and valuable question. Thanks.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, so since this money is about promoting some of the tourist opportunities, I was hoping to get some examples of what's out there in rural Alberta or for Indigenous tourism. What are some examples of what people can experience?
Yeah, so I think when I look across the province, and myself just in my travels, of course I'm from the Peace Country, and when I look at areas like Dunvegan on the Peace River Valley and the beauty of that, just recently I was up in, actually to the far north, all the way up to a community called Indian Cabins, and looking at the beauty and diversity of our landscape in areas in the farthest remote portions of Alberta. I know in last year I was down in the southeast corner of the province too, in the prairies. There's so much to see across Alberta, and as different opportunities to open up with different tourism operators deciding to develop or provide services in some of these areas in remote Alberta, I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity when we look at different aspects. Even going up to Fort McMurray, there's a lot of great country to see there. And there's always the talk about the highway connection between the Peace River country and the Fort Mac area. And I think that connection there alone will, I think, will increase tourism, as people will be able to travel to northeastern Alberta and then travel across to northwestern Alberta and not have to come back down to the south to do that. So again, I think there's lots of opportunities, and I think different operators across the province will be able to take advantage of these opportunities that we're providing.
Great. We'd just like to thank everyone for coming today. That concludes the time. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This is Jessica Lee with the Rocky Mountain Outlook. This question is for Shay. I just wanted to ask, so as far as conversations around Indigenous tourism in the Bow Valley and throughout Canada, I think that's something that's really escalated in the last few years with conversations around reconciliation. How will this investment sort of help to further that action toward reconciliation and sort of level the playing field for Indigenous groups to access that sector?
Absolutely. So, that $6 million over 3-year investment through Travel Alberta to Indigenous Tourism Alberta is to really support, the organization to follow our mandate in terms of supporting our membership. So our membership are all 51% owned and operated Indigenous entrepreneurs or communities in the space. And we have a variety of tactics through action plan, 5-year strategy, all these things from the development side and also the marketing side. So really it's going to be implementing a lot of our tactical pieces that are in alignment with Travel Alberta and their development zones, with the national body, ITAC, and really everything we do is really, it's based on the engagement from our membership and hearing what they need specifically to really further the maturity of their business. So, it will come down through a variety of, tools to support that business acceleration for our members across the province.
And a quick follow-up. So just speaking for the Bow Valley in particular, I know there's been some examples where Indigenous tourism was sort of, the attempt was there for it to be shared, but maybe not so much in an authentic way. How will this initiative sort of ensure that these stories are shared and are authentic from the parties that are involved?
Well, as a organization that's really mandated to support, the priority ownership of Indigenous businesses, anyone that we represent across the province is authentic Indigenous experience. We do our due diligence with our membership and ensuring that they are 51% at least owned and operated Indigenous. So really elevating those voices is our priority. In terms of, other pieces that may be less authentic, we work very closely with our municipality partners, our regional DMOs, our ECDEV agencies across the province to really help educate and mitigate those type of things so it doesn't continue. In addition to that, we also provide cultural awareness training specifically for the tourism sector for our non-Indigenous partners, because we see a lot of a gap in just education and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So we also utilize, our resources to support that side of the sector to ensure that everyone's set up for success and moving forward in a authentic and appropriate way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll do one final ask for questions in the room. Okay, that concludes the time for today. We want to thank everyone for coming. Please travel home safely, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our office.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate that.